wherever you don't want to go back to. So where was the family or the loved ones? Oftentimes, even now, families, it's a secret. And families, people point fingers. Oh, their father was that way. Oh, they could have done this. And I actually have a friend who I had dinner with her the other night, and she has a relative who has an addiction. And that's just how she told me. We were laughing, we're talking, we're having our wine, and she and her husband, he just mentioned something about this relative, and she was, oh, he has an addiction. As if nobody's going to hear. What's that all about? So anyone who knows me knows I'm not really very shy. And I said, why did you whisper? It's not a secret. What do they need? Have them call me. I'll connect them with people. But it's still a secret. Even now. And that's very sad. Because if you had cancer, if you had a heart condition, you're not going to whisper. You're going to talk about it. And it's like kind of like the dirty secret. And then in 2000, we started to see a movement towards more interventions, not just the identified client or patient, but also families. But if you listen to all our modalities, mindfulness, motivational thinking, trauma work, and when you hear all these talks, even here, when we're here for a talk about families, and those things are all powerful and wonderful, it all came back to the person with the addiction. The day before I was at a meeting and I was explaining about this conference, why people should come, the importance of family, and I'm explaining the family's kind of MIA oftentimes in the clinical approach. They're not thought of. And this mother's across the table nodding. And afterwards I said, well, did this resonate with you? She said, yes, I have 2 autistic children. And the focus is on my children, never on me. So no matter what population you're working with, it really rings true. The focus is the adolescent that is having problems, the addicted person, the person with chronic mental illness. Where do the siblings and the family and the friends that love them, where do they go? What do they do? And I pass that torch to each one of you, so when you work with your populations, be aware of that. They may not be in the session, but either reach out to them or through the client, give them information that can be passed on. We all know how, at this point, if you're seasoned at all, I like to call it coming in through the back door. And you can come in through the back door, and we're all smart enough that we know we can get information and outreach to people. Whether they'll take advantage of it or not, who knows? But when you're in crisis, and your loved one is in crisis, we may look at someone and say, well, I gave them that information and they just didn't follow through. Well, if you're afraid to go to sleep at night, if the police are knocking on your door, if you're afraid your loved one is not going to come home and they're going to be found dead in a gutter, who the heck is thinking about maybe something that you offered? It may have to be offered 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's no skin off our nose to do that, and bravo. We may be able to help a family system. And a family system is one resource that doesn't cost anything. And if we stop and think, I oftentimes, when I provide supervision, I'll say to folks, you had a snapshot into that person's life. And even if you're providing treatment for an individual for a year, 2 years, that's only a snapshot in their life. And someone a long time ago said to me, if your client, and I'm going to add, if a family, 6 years, 7 years down the road, there's a little bird sitting on their shoulder, and they remember something that you said, or support that you offered, you're never going to know. but that's the sign of a truly successful clinician, human being, social worker, individual. There's still not a whole lot there for families. Hope Sheds Light is wonderful. But we still have to wonder, where is the family in all of this? Also, we have to be aware that society has a preconceived notion about families. I used to work for the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office, and I ran the Victim Witness Unit. And we would have at times people come in and their loved ones, the family members of the addicted person may have been a victim of a crime that person perpetrated. The guilt, the confusion, the conflictedness for those loved ones. We don't want to see the person in trouble. We don't want to hurt them. We don't want to harm them. What do we do? The guilt. It was palpable. You could feel it in the room. Where do these people go? Where do they get information? And that's our job. Every day, that's our job to give them that information. And also, when you hear people espousing stereotypes, families of those with addictions, they're angry people. They don't know how to talk. I'm surprised that they didn't get angry. Well, that's a broad brush. And that's a prejudice that we have. That's a value and a perception that we have to be very careful not to have countertransference. And maybe you haven't heard that word in a long time, but we have to be really careful that countertransference doesn't sneak in. We can't apply our value system to other folks because we don't walk in their shoes and we don't have their experience. Stigma, it's still there. Whether it's addiction, whether it's mental health issues, the stigma is there and it's loud and clear. And it's loud and clear when you hear people say certain jokes, when they talk about a certain population. It's horrifying. And you need to choose for yourself. Do you pick up the torch and respond to that joke, comment, or do you let it slide? And each of us has to live within our own skin. When I was working in the prosecutor's office, we had a young lady come in. Her husband was an addict. He had been very, very abusive. There were charges against him. She came up we had a unit in the courthouse, and she came up, she met with me, and then I was taking her over. She was going to go give a statement. And one of my own secretaries said, "She doesn't look abused. She's clean." She rendered me speechless, and that doesn't happen very often. And fortunately, she said this after the young lady had left. What a bias. But I'm sure she was saying it, but I'm sure there's a lot of people thinking it, a lot of people judging, a lot of people looking at a family system where there is a problem and judging that family. Maybe that family had nothing to do with it. Or maybe there's problems in a family system other than yours or mine, and it's not even recognized yet. So we have to be open to share the information and to help fight the stigma. Loved ones are often forgotten because of the focus of who are we getting reimbursement for, who's the person that is referred to us, and we all know that you have to write your treatment plans, goals, and objectives for the client that's sitting in front of you. But if you can look at the resources for that person, you can stretch it. And even if you can't put it down on paper, You have to figure out how you're going to reach out to those families. Because quite honestly, when they're up to their eyeballs in the swamp, they may just be having a hard time putting their feet on the floor in the morning. You're all here. You're all showered and clean and sitting in this room. But I wonder if any or how many of you had a lot of things that you had to deal with before you even got here today. Or your phone is blowing up because you're getting calls about that person, or that person is calling you. And you don't know where to go. Your head is spinning. The financial piece is falling apart. And who do you talk to? You're not going to sit here at this conference and talk to the person sitting next to you. You may not want your other family members to know. Whereas we all, as clinicians in very diverse settings, we're kind of like the chalkboard with no writing on it. And people can reach out to us and write on us what they want or what they need. And you are a safe person, hopefully. You all should have safety pins on to let them know you're a safe place, you're a safe person. And they can share with you, hopefully, if you open up the door. One of the things that I'm sure you all heard in graduate school, and probably have found true, more than the modality that you use with your clients is the person you are. I remember when I was in graduate school, I was an older student when I returned about 100 years ago. And I sat in this room, and we were doing theory and practice. And people were talking about all these different theorists and their modalities. And I'm sitting there, and I was thinking, I need to go back home to the laundry room because I don't know what the hell we're talking about. And they're all smarter than I am. And oh my God, it was awful. And I really doubted myself. So we went back for the following week for another class. And again, people are spouting Schott and Freud, and I don't know, they must have stayed up late every night just reading those things. And I figured, okay, I either have to say something or I just have to withdraw, because the time was kind of close to where you wouldn't get your money back. So I remember I raised my hand and I said to Dr. Eleanor Brilliant, who was the professor at that time in that class, and I said, you know what, I really don't know who any of these people are, but this is what I think should happen in this situation. I don't remember what the situation was or the case study was. Her response, thank God we can move on. I thanked her afterwards, and I guess I've stayed in this field a long time. But what she said is, all those theorists are wonderful, and you collect those modalities and those treatments, and we all have our framework that we use. But remember, first and foremost, you're a human being trying to help another human being. There used to be a cartoon character, and I don't know how many people are old like me, but Felix the cat. And Felix the cat had his bag of tricks. So as you go to your different workshops throughout time in the morning, you take things from there and you throw it all in your bag of tricks, and you use all that with your families. For me, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm really not as smart as those people who are the theorists, family systems, and when he said family systems this morning, I wanted to go, yay! Family systems make sense to me. It's the way I think, and it's the way, that's my baseline. That's where I always come back to. I've gone to workshops, and I use different techniques from those workshops, but basically I'm a family systems girl. But my biggest tool, whether I worked for the military, the prosecutor's office, I was in an adjudicated adolescent program for a while, and private practice, and everything else. I found that being genuine and being open was the best tool of any. because then people feel safe and they will respond to you. And I'm never afraid to say, I don't know. I say, I'm blind. Well, I don't know. I'll have to find out for you. They tune in, and there's trust, and that's your tool that you use. Well, your families may not be trusting. They're told a lot of stuff. Their loved one who is addicted right now, there's a lot of mistrust right there in the family system. There's probably a lot of pointing fingers. They need somewhere that they can trust, that's safe, that's comfortable. And that's what we need to tune in. And wherever we go, fill your bag of tricks. And look up Felix, he was really funny. Fill your bag of tricks and go from there. There is a poem when I was doing my research. And again, I go back to the family, being human, and we need to meet our clients where they are. Well, if you have a family, you need to meet the family where they are. And if you're working with the family, yes, you're going to use those modalities, you're going to use all those pieces, and maybe you're their safe haven, and the place where even when they hate you, they know that that's where they need to go to do the work that they need to do. But if you're working with populations that you're not actually working with the family, you need to tune in and know that those friends, family, relatives, whoever is the resource for that loved one, you really need to tune into that and broaden your horizon. Long ago, when I was thinking about family systems, I'm going to go back way long ago. In the 70s and 80s on PBS, there was a guy by the name of John Bradshaw. And he was a family systems guy, and he used to stand there, and I was always fascinated by it. And he would hold a mobile. And you know how a mobile moves? And he would say, the family system is like this mobile. And if the wind blows on this piece, or something hits that piece, the whole entire family system changes. And that's what's happening with our families. And if you can think about a mobile and how it changes, that's what's happened to all the families. And it may change again and again and again. And I trust that all of you cherish what you do and the families. But when I was looking for something to share, a lot of what I found, and I don't think that doesn't fit, but I found a poem that was written by Randy Gray, and I want to read it to you. And by the way, if you like this poem, there's copies out by where you sign in and sign out. An addict I am not, by Randy Gray. An addict I am not, so he pushes me away, hoping I won't see it and lead him astray. An addict I am not, but I must still live the life, dealing and coping, praying one day he'll stop. An addict I am not, maybe I feel it more, knowing any moment he could walk out that door. An addict I am not, so I live all alone. Sure, he's by my side, but it's not him that's home. An addict I am not, so I deal with his lies, the deceit and the pain, and all the tear-free cries. An addict I am not, thinking I could help. One day my love will be enough, but it won't, I can tell. An addict I am not, I see the pain in his heart and the fear that grips his soul as he grabs for his pipe and smokes one more roll. An addict I am not, if only he could just see what I see in him and know he could someday be. An addict I am not, so I watch from afar, and he destroys himself a little more each day. Dear God, please help him. Each night I continue to pray, because an addict I am not, but I must watch him be. And that's what these families deal with on a regular basis. There's another part to the talk, and he's here. my other half, Steve Willis. Steve Willis is an attorney in Toms River, and Steve will introduce himself, and he's going to do two parts. He's going to share his story, but also he's going to give you some tools, some knowledge about the criminal justice system. Because as clinicians and people who work with families and the identified client, you need information. Because although you need to have use of self, we also need to have a knowledge base. And the criminal justice system is not always bad. And you need to be able to talk out of the same dictionary as your clients. And you need to understand on some level what the CJ system is like. So I thank you for not falling asleep after lunch, and I now give you Steve Willis.
This is better. Hi guys. I'm Steve. I am an attorney in town. I own Willis and Justice Law Offices. I am the son of an alcoholic and the father of an addict. My son's name is Mark, and he died about 3 years ago, and I miss him a lot. I need to tell you that story so you can understand, what I know, and why I do what I do with the legal system, and why Hope Sheds Light exists. You heard from my wonderful colleagues. I love those guys. We'll talk a little more about that too. Okay? My son was an absolute blessing. The first 12 years of our life together were really wonderful, I have to say. I was a single dad, actually, the first 4 years of his life. And I thought about this, and I thought, if I continue, she's going to, be nuts. I need some help. So we were blessed to meet Denise. Denise married us both. She adopted Mark when he was 7. First 12 years, beautiful. There was school and sports and church. Everything was perfect, and I was a good dad. Okay? And then at age 13, it's like a switch was thrown, and all hell broke loose in my house. Massive quantities of drugs all of a sudden. His attitude and behavior changed. Remember school, sports, church? He started dropping out of those things. The attitude was so bad, he made it very clear to me and to his wonderful mom, adopted mom, that he had no intention all of a sudden of doing what I asked him to do. And I said, stop that, right? Because stop that as dad worked those first 12 years. What did he do? Besides not participating in anything, besides using all the time in the house, so he's bringing drugs in the house, he got angry because I said you can't do that. So he started putting holes in the wall, breaking up my house, right? Damaging, his room. So what do you mean your room? It's my house, right? And then stealing. You've heard that about addict behavior, right? Stealing not just from me, but stealing from his sanctuary grandmother who helped raise him the first couple years of his life. She was living with us. She was suffering from Parkinson's. You can't do that, right? I said, you've got a problem, son. You need to go to treatment. I brought him to a therapist. He walked right out, right? I started complaining to some of my friends. I said, what the hell is going on here? And they said, well, you just need to take him. You need to throw him in the car, right? You need to make him do it. So how does that work, right? I said, well, I'm trying to make him. So I grounded him. I took all of his stuff away. None of it worked. It was the most humbling experience of my life because you guys will get this. I'm a man. I'm an attorney. I fix stuff. Right? And I could not fix him. And the sicker he got, the sicker I got. This is a family disease. You know this. And how did I get sick? Well, before I got physically ill, I got spiritually and emotionally ill. I stopped talking to my wife. My blessed Emily, who's 10 years younger, 3, 4 at the time, I forgot about her, right? One of her blessings is that after a while, after about a year, she kind of grabbed my face and she said, Daddy, talk to me. And it made me cry. I said, okay. I almost lost really my business, too, because I stopped serving the very people that I'm blessed to serve as an attorney. My story could be in that big book. You've heard of that big book, right? And what happened then? I needed to make a decision. I needed to decide whether I was going to be well or not. I looked at my beautiful wife. I said, honey, we need to get well. I just didn't know how to. This is a lot of years ago. I didn't know who to call. I didn't know where to go. That's in large part why Hope Sheds Light exists, so that people will know what resources are there and will be there for them. Okay? I went down to my knees. I don't know how I don't know how you guys feel about God, but He's important to me. Went down to my knees and I prayed. I said, I'm about ready to lose everything, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Help me. I think God probably smiled then, because He knew I was doing a whole lot more talking than listening. I promised I'm going to listen, right? And all of a sudden people showed up. People like you. I think you were already there, right? I just wasn't seeing you and listening to you. Does that make sense? When I got humble, when I almost lost everything and surrendered, and I said as a parent, I need help, the help was there. And I learned some of the things that I teach now. The wonderful part is, although I get creative with the legal system, I stopped making stuff up myself. And that's what addicts need to do, right? In recovery. That's why the intellectually bright, I think, probably have the most trouble in recovery, because they want to debate everything. I was debating everything. When I took Mark, to a therapist, I kind of, kicked him in the room, and I said, fix him, Mr. Therapist. I'm leaving. I got to go make money. He looked at me. He looked down at me, because everybody looks down, right? And he said, you may need fixing too. I said, what do you mean I need fixing too? You heard Arvo say, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not busting up my house. I'm not stealing my own stuff. What are you talking about? And he asked me then, when's the last time you talked to your wife? When's the last time you paid attention to your daughter? How's work going? I think I told him I hated him. Right? But he's right. It was at that point that I started to learn. I went to the men's groups. I went to the Al-Anon groups. I went to the individual therapist so that I could learn my role in this. Because I was perfect. You just asked me. Right? And one of the things that was damaging is that I never really knew my son. As I started to get better with the help of you, I started to realize I really didn't know him. I wanted him to be me, right? Didn't know what he liked, didn't know anything. So through therapy and encouragement, I wanted to learn more about him. The problem was he didn't want to know me. He was so angry. He was a sick guy. When nothing I did as a dad worked, what I decided to do was to press charges against him. Now that was a very unpopular thing to do 22 years ago. Probably still is for many of you, right? Why did I do it? Because I couldn't affect change, right? I'm trying to teach him accountability, and I can't make him accountable. Drugs in the house, holes in the wall, stealing stuff. I said, Mark, I didn't raise you to do this. We'll see what the legal system says about it. So I told him I was pressing charges against him. He said, you would do that to your own son? I said, I love you that much. I hate you. I said, well, that's evident. The behavior. So. But I'm not here to be loved, Mark, or liked. I'm here to teach you two things, love and responsibility. I think I have to demonstrate both in order to teach those things. Right? Does that make sense? So because I'm an attorney and because I pressed charges against him, it would have been a bit of an ethical conflict for me to represent him. I really wanted to. Right? So I went to an attorney. I didn't tell you who it was, and I said, help me give my son a choice, jail or treatment. And why did I say that? Because I'm looking for a consequence for him that he may not like in order to get motivated. Yes? The attorney, can you imagine the attorney looked at me and said, what? You're putting me in an untenable position, Steve. My son's 14 at the time. I said, what does that mean? He said, it means I have to listen to my client. I said, your client's out of his mind. If he was so quick at thinking he wouldn't be busting up my house and doing all this stuff, what are you talking about? That's what, attorneys think, right? We have to listen to our clients. So I said, okay, I got this. I'm going to go to court, and I raised my hand. The judge said, what, Mr. Willis? I said, Judge, can I please explain to you what's happening in my home? On paper, my son looks like a criminal, right? But he's not. He's a sick guy. The marijuana that he's using, I think, is probably medically proper because he's got ADHD. It works. I told her about the genetic predisposition that I know was in him. My dad's in recovery, right? I found out years later that Mark's birth mother, I couldn't figure out why she's given him to me when I left, that relationship when Mark was 1. She was using all during the pregnancy. She went to jail after she gave me my son. And there's addiction in her family. That boy came wired to use. Yep. And at age 13, you know how crazy that is anyway. Holy mackerel. So I explained that to the judge. I said, Your Honor, please give him a choice, jail or treatment. She looked at me like an eternity to me. She said, You want him to go to jail? I said, Not for a second. I want him to live. Because I'm losing him. I can't make him do anything. I said, Judge, what would you do if you order him to get the help he needs and he doesn't do it? What will you do? She said, Well, I'm going to put him in jail. I said, Exactly. And I hope he wouldn't like it. And she hadn't heard that before, as you can imagine. So she said, All right, Mark Willis, what's it going to be, jail or treatment? You know what he said? I have a God-given right to get high, he told her. I said, Oh my God, right? That was embarrassing. I didn't raise him to do that. That shocked her, but that's that brazen attitude. And she looked at him and she said, Sheriff, get him out of here. The sheriff came around, put handcuffs on him, and walked my 14-year-old out of the court, and I cried. And I said, What in God's name have I done? And I prayed about it, and I said, Well, let's see if this theory works. So we went to the detention center. Do you know that place? It's really the best place on the planet, I have to tell you. I mean, nobody gets hurt there. So here's my son. He's no bigger than me. He thinks he's a tough guy. He goes over there. I visit him in a week's time. Oh, by the way, he's calling every day, just being a jerk, right? Just being nasty. Like if this is my fault, okay? So I said, I went to see him, and he said, Can you get me out of here? I said, What are you prepared to do? Well, maybe I'll go to outpatient, but I'm sure not going inpatient. Isn't this the only disease where patients act like their own doctors? And I said, That's not how this works. I'm leaving. So I left. 2 weeks later, I went back thinking, I wonder what his attitude's going to be like. He said, Can you get me out of here? I said, What are you prepared to do? Okay, I'll go. Right? So the program was set up. It was a 45-day program. Like Arvo, I drove him all the way to Vermont, for goodness sake. And I said, This insurance better stick, or I said, I'm leaving. And it's a long I drive back to New Jersey, so you got it. He was there for 45 days. Awesome patient. Did you open this one? He did great. The doctor said he was kind of full of crap, but he did great. We lived at that point in a little town of Lava, which is about as big as this room, right? We lived 2 blocks from the beach, 2 blocks from the bay. This is a long time ago, so I don't know how kids, we didn't have cell phones back then, right? 45 days he's there. How does 12 of his friends know that he's coming back to my house on that day? They show up at my door. They walk up to the beach, and what do you think they did? Okay. Broke my heart. I said, That program certainly sucks, right? And was it the program? Well, my son just wasn't ready. But he was on probation at that point because the judge had ordered him at my request to go and successfully complete that program. He's on probation. So I called the probation officer, when I caught him being high, and I said, I need you to call him in. I'd like you to test him. What, Mr. Willis, you want us to violate him? I said, I'd like you to love him. That's what I'd like you to do. Because I don't know if he's going to be, healthy unless he demonstrates behavior, right? So that happened. That dance went on for a while. He was violated. He had to go back in and explain to the judge why He's still using, even though she told him not to. He went back to the detention center, actually about 3 more times. He was that close to going to Jamesburg. And I certainly didn't want him there, if you know what Jamesburg is. Okay? All for what? I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't just marijuana. There was cocaine, there was inhalants, there was pretty much anything that my son could get his hands on. And the reason? I got this, Dad. I can do this myself. But as long as he was structured by the legal system during that time, as a juvenile, he was getting better, I have to say. Okay? Getting better because the jail was not a thing that we liked very much. And I was getting healthier because I learned that I needed to get healthy whether or not he was going to get well. Okay? And that did help him too. In his mid-20s, this is what happened. There was no legal system at that point, and he kept telling me, I got this. I said, how about meetings? How about therapy? How about this continuum of care? I said, you an addict? No. And he never really said that he was. Never really had a problem. I was the problem. In his mid-20s, about 20s, he overdosed 4 times that I know of. Maybe more, but I was there at Community Medical Hospital. There's yet another woman, a different young woman, carrying yet another child of his, crying over the fact that he could die. I have 8 grandchildren, right? 8 from him. I said, why don't you go bowling or something? What the hell? Oh my God, right? He survived those overdoses. 5.5 years ago, he hung himself. He was living up in Newark with his girlfriend, with 4 of his children. She found him. She cut him down, screamed, called. We go up to UMD&J 5:30 in the morning. Denise and I, you're in trouble when 5 doctors come in. They're looking very somber. I said, is he alive or dead? He said, well, he's alive, kind of. They had him on machines. They said he presented as if he was out of oxygen for 10 minutes. That's not good. They said, Mr. Willis, you're not going to survive a day, we don't think, but if he does, he'll be severely diminished. And my prayer then was, Lord, he's already diminished. Make him whole or take him home, please. So 48 hours later, they took the machines off. You know what happened? He survived that too. Unscathed. What happened, Dad? Did I get hit by a truck? I said, kind of. I said, you are apparently hard to kill. How many experiences, Mark, do you need before you say enough is enough, right? That's what our clients, our loved ones need to get to. How do you get them there? I'll talk about that. Mark had all those experiences, and I said, what are you going to do now? All this time, he thought God was pretty slow. He said, God's stupid dead. He said, well, just because you think so doesn't make him so. He had an experience. His sainted grandmother, my beautiful mom, died a few years before. During this period when he was, he had a near-death experience. He didn't read many books, so I didn't prompt him at all, but he told me during that time, before he left the hospital, that he was in the bottom of the ocean. He was drowning, he said. But then he saw grandma, and she was young and beautiful, he explained. And he said, I want to be with you. And she said, not time. That's how we explained it. I said, so what do we do with that? How is God now? Well, I think better. Do you understand, Mark, that you need help? You can't do this alone. I got this. So we went down to Texas to be with his birth mother, who had 18, 19 years clean at that point. Going to meetings, doing everything. It was awesome. I said, well, I can't help him. Maybe she can. I said, she's you. Just copy what works, right? But he still didn't go to meetings. He still didn't go to a therapist. I got this. He developed a seizure disorder from too much drinking and drugging. Wouldn't even take his seizure medicine properly. He's fishing early one morning in a beautiful riverbank in McKinney, Texas. Had a massive seizure and rolled into the water, and he drowned. And that's how my son died. So why do I share? Because it's real. We read about the overdoses, and that happens. But there's collateral damage, isn't there? People get really sick. And my being, my essence here, is about helping people get well if I can. Okay? So, we started Hope Life about a month before Mark died, actually. Okay. So the first few meetings were exciting, you're still alive, and then my colleagues have been around me. The point now is that I really want to kind of demonstrate to anybody who wants to listen what recovery looks like. Okay. We as family members have to recover. The same 12 steps that are near and dear to my heart helped save my life. My son wanted no part of it. He's dead. I got this dead. Okay? So, the legal system continues. Hope Church Light's around that to help people see what recovery looks like, to help family members understand that you have to get healthy whether or not your child's going to get healthy. And by the way, it's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? Because we as parents, at least early on, think that if our kids get sick, we have to get sick. We have to hug them through it. And it's really just the opposite with this complex disease, isn't it? The healthier we get, standing up straight and being strong, and going this way if they want to go that way, the greater chance we give them of recovery. So we try to help share that, Hope Sheds Light and helping families. And we'd love you to be a part of that. But the legal system is cool. I think these days, I seem to be a sole voice in saying that the legal system can still work. Right? You hear everybody saying jail doesn't work, right? And some of you may believe that. But I'm here to tell you, short-term jail saves lives. Long-term jail doesn't change miracles, right? It doesn't give treatment unless they get better in the jails at providing treatment. We need to know why our kids are using, right? They need to figure it out with, your help. But they have to want to get there first, right? I represent an awful lot of people. I have a large juvenile practice. I have a large criminal practice. The criminal law truly is my passion, and it started with Mark, right? Because we can affect change. I have clients going into, their sentencings with me, for example, on a Friday in criminal court, and they go in the bathroom and they shoot up. Right? So they come stumbling in. That's how sick people get. Right? And what do? I do things very differently as a criminal defense attorney, I have to say. I guess one of the blessings is, and maybe this is the reason, I own my own business because I don't think anybody that I work for would put up with me. Right? But I get to decide who we're going to represent. And there's a thing that attorneys have to listen to their clients. I make it very clear to my clients when they come in, if they have criminal charges against them, and I'll talk about when families come in, I let them know that I get to make decisions. It's kind of odd, right? They invariably say, Steve, I think we should do this, I think we should do that, and I look at them and I say, well, your best thinking got you here, yes or no? I guess so. I said, how about if we listen to me? And this is why when I'm going into the jails, it's even better. I said, look, I'm dressed nicer than you, and I get to leave. Why don't you listen to my plan? But I ask them always, do you want to get better? Or do you want to continue with this? Because if you want to continue using, I'm probably not the guy to help you. Now, I don't know how the hell you run a business like that, but the doors have stayed open for a very long time, right? And I think he's just trying to do the right thing all the time, okay? And so what happens when parents call? And they've been calling for a long time. They call through the law firm, they call through Hope. They said, Steve, we don't know what to do. Our loved one is dying. See, they will come on in. We'll call people in all the time, at night, weekends, whatever, and say, let's explore this. Why are they using? Who are they? I want to get a whole background. Okay? I think I do a better assessment sometimes than doctors do, and I challenge them when I go into the hospitals. Let's find out why we're using. Okay? Is there a co-occurring thing happening? Most of the clients that I have mental health issues. There's anxiety, there's depression. I have a couple of young women who have not dealt with the pain of being raped early on. That's important, isn't it? Right? So a long time ago, going through the legal system, as I tried to explain to the judges why my clients are doing what they're doing, early on they would say, you know, Mr. Willis, this is heroin. We're going to send him to a substance abuse program. How about, Judge, the reason they're using is because of the rape that happened. There's anger, there's resentment. There's so many unresolved things. How about if we deal with a co-occurring program? Right? Now, I don't want judges ever deciding what program my clients go to. I can help them decide. And after these years of doing it, and I think doing it in the right way, frankly, I'm blessed, regardless of the place I go around the state. The judges are kind of asking me what the plan is. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay? And the plan is treatment. It's got to be treatment. But the plan is always to have a judge, if there are legal issues, court order successful completion of that treatment and aftercare, right? And if they walk out, I do this a lot. People are in jail. We can talk about bail reform if you like. I look forward to your questions. But when they're in jail, I can get a judge to release a person on their own recognizance directly to a program. And when there was bail attached to the thing, so families wouldn't have to pay bail to get them out, with the stipulation that they need to get into the program. If they jump out of the car, or they walk out, or they get discharged, then a warrant is issued, and they go back to jail. There's accountability, right? And then aftercare is important to be a part of that plan. And the more we do that, the better it works. Right? Makes sense? So most of the people that I'm blessed to be around do not know how to fix themselves. Right? If they were so good at it, they would do it. Mark Willis. Right? This is why, drug court probation works. You guys know drug court? Okay? And we can discuss it if you like it, but drug court formalizes an approach that I took all those years ago. I knew that Mark had to be ordered to go somewhere. I knew that the probation needs to follow up regularly, right, in tests. That's really all that drug court is. There's an understanding after a while that it costs a lot more to incarcerate people in state prison, like $34,500 a year, if those statistics are accurate, than it does to actually give people treatment for a year in programs that are contracted with the state. $11,500, $12,000. So our legislators said that kind of makes sense, even if they didn't understand the medical piece behind it. So drug court was born. How do people get into drug court? They have to do a lot of bad stuff, unfortunately. Okay? But those people that survive long enough to get into drug court, they can either go in voluntarily, or, as of a couple of years ago, they can actually be ordered to do it. And some people, we've had the discussion, well, see, you really can't order somebody. But those people that are adamant that they don't want it, they don't want to be well, they're going to find themselves in state prison anyway. Right? So I don't think we're really wasting resources because we give people an opportunity, to make a decision. But the drug court application, it's very simple. People want to volunteer for it. And I, as counsel, talk about recovery all the time. I guess that's what makes me different than a lot. My prayer each day is to do His work, but to help people heal, right? And that is different. But it has so many benefits to it. It's fun because even if people that come to me are not ready to get well right now, and they don't want to do the work, they still hear the message. They still hear the counseling. They still go through some steps. And invariably they come back. Many times they've, committed more offenses. So the more offenses people rack up, the court gets noticed, right? And the less options people have. So drug court can be an opportunity for many, many people. It's designed to keep addicts out of state prison. Mandated treatment with really good accountability. Because when people, if, for example, one of my clients is ordered to go to a long-term program, drug court sets it up, we as taxpayers, our money set it up, right? But they set it up and they go, and that's their job, if they're in that residential program, do that. They get transported back to drug court, a couple times during the 6-month program. Once they're out there, or if the person is it's clinically appropriate to send them to an intensive outpatient program, they have to report to drug court once a week. And everybody, when they go in there, they pee into a cup. And if they're dirty, they go to jail. I love that. My client says, "See, you are an odd little man." I said, "I know. But see, I want you to live." And the idea is very, very simple. If you know you're going to be tested every time you go, and you know you're going to jail if you're dirty, unless you like jail, you'll probably learn to not use, right? That's why it works. So it's pretty awesome, I have to say. And if you believe, again, the statistics that the drug court program puts out, the recidivism rate for crimes is a lot lower for people that come out of drug court as a graduate than there is if they just go into state prison. Okay? So we know that works. When parents call me and say, "I have no idea what I'm doing with my kid," and I sit down with them, I ask the questions. Are they stealing from you? Are they breaking up your house? Right? Are they doing whatever? Because the legal system truly can be a benefit if it's used properly. A lot of parents are scared. Maybe you guys are saying, "Steve, I don't get this. We don't want our kids to have a criminal record." There are diversionary programs, for juveniles and adults if they've just gotten involved in the legal system so that there will be no criminal record. Things like PTI and deferred dispositions, those things exist. But if we do it right, we can set up a structure for them where all of a sudden it's a judge that the person has to listen to and not just a parent. Because I learned a long time ago, we can't fix our kids, right? Maybe other people can. That makes sense, right? So even with the diversionary program, structures can be put in place, and then if they successfully complete that structure, the PTI period, then the charges can be dismissed against them. But they have help along the way. Right? So is that kind of information helpful to you as clinicians? Okay? I don't want you to be, afraid of the legal system, because it's there to help. People complain. You even heard my dear friend Ron complain about, people get caught into like this black hole with too many fines and this and that. But the legal system is changing some. The expungement law, I think that should be changed even more. But the expungement law has been changed to say that anybody who graduates from drug court can, depending on the nature of the charges, but can get their record expunged, like automatically. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay? So there's finally a recognition that maybe we do need to give a fresh start to people who have done the work, right? That expungement statute, these guys should just listen to me. I'm a pretty smart guy. I could change some of these laws. I'm going to work on that too. But if people are willing to say enough is enough, other laws can be changed to help them too. Okay? Community service can be used, for example, in lieu of fines. Okay? What I'm doing through Hope Sheds Light is to go around to the business groups. There are some people invariably that say, "Well, your child will never get a job if they have a criminal record." That's just not so. Okay? It's just not so. They may not be able to get the job of their dreams right away. Okay? But most of the work that I'm doing, most of the people that I'm blessed to be around are not in good shape at all. We want to keep them alive, right? And to let them go try to figure it out themselves, not really the best way. But I'm going to business groups and talking about the nature of addiction and talking about recovery mostly, okay? And how wonderful recovery is when you really see it and the process that people have to go through in order to get there. The best friends I have in the world are actively in recovery, and I hire them in a heartbeat. This is all about education, isn't it? For years and years, I've been sharing this story and sharing how the legal system works. And for a long time, I kind of felt that maybe I was a sole bearer saying this, and I knew that that wasn't right. It couldn't be. I couldn't be the only one talking about this because you have to understand it. The medical community has to understand it. Law enforcement, right? Business communities, clergy. When we understand this as a community, then we start coming together. Right? My wife asked me the other day, she said, "Are you going to cry again?" I've become quite a crier. I said, "I think so." She said, "What about, why now?" And I said, because a long time I've been talking. And all of a sudden, there's more and more people that are joining Hope Sheds Light. We hope you do, okay? Joining the discussion, right? People finally getting brave and understanding that if we talk about what's happening in our families, we can fix it. The secrets are the things that keep us sick, yes? We do, right? So what's happening, like Hope Sheds Light, our first fundraiser, we call it a Celebration of Hope Walk. The first time we did it 3 years ago, when I went up to the Seaside Heights Boardwalk, that's where it's held. And he looked at me, he said, "Steve, do you think we'll get 85 people?" I said, "I don't know," right? We had about 400 people that came. That was pretty amazing 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had about 800, 900 people. Last year, there was talk about 1,500. Now, some people may say, "Well, Steve, that's a shame because it just demonstrates what a problem we have." Well, yeah, we have the problem. But people are getting brave and they're coming around. And what happens to our organization is that there's hope and there's love and there's an educated plan that we'll give to anybody that's willing to listen, families included, importantly about how to be well. Right? Going into talking to doctors and nurses about the nature of this disease. The first time I was asked to speak at Community Medical Center was 20 years ago. I represented two of the doctor's sons. They were both heroin addicts. They said, "Steve, you really need to share what you know." I said, "I'll be happy to." They set up a task force. I'd say I wasn't very polite to them. I said, "Shame on you that an attorney knows more and frankly cares more than you do about this disease." Well, I wasn't invited back for 20 years. Our kids are dying. And now when I go back and share the same thing and challenge them about them changing, they're not walking out of the room. But, I had a group about 140 last year. I lose track of time. After an hour, about 80 of them stayed, which was really touching to me and really amazing to the manager because they said, they never do that, right? But I asked them, go into discussion. Any pain management doctors here, I asked? A couple of them raised their hand. One stood up and said, "You don't understand." I said, "What don't I understand, sir?" He said, "These, opiates work." I said, "Well, I know." I said, "Help me a little bit. How do they work?" "They work," I said, "by taking away pain." Well, exactly, like duh. I said, "So when I go in the hospital," and by the way, I told them the second best thing I ever did in my life besides marrying my wife, which was first, is that I donated a kidney, and that was 4 years ago. I came out of the hospital with a prescription for 90 Vicodin. 90! And I just needed 2, like the first day, because I was assistant, right? And if my son was still around at that point, guess what? He would have had it. I said, "How about this?" I just offered this. I said, "How about instead of asking me when I go in the hospital what my pain level is, like 0 to 10, how about you ask me to explain? How about if you decide that 0 pain is stupid?" I said, "Pain teaches." Right? The best lessons I ever had in my life, I remember because they kind of hurt. We can teach people how to live with pain, right? They can learn how to do it. Some of the detoxes that are out there, most of them, when my clients go into the detoxes, they're given all kinds of wonderful things. There's no pain. And in some of these places are nicer than my house, for God's sakes, right? I got a tour of one of them not too far from here, and I said, "I need to go home and paint." Holy crap. The cotton count on those sheets is really high. A chef is there. There's no pain. Why would anybody stop using it if you can go to a place like that? This is why I like jail. Short term. A heroin withdrawal in jail is an impressive thing. I love when my clients, frankly, are bleeding in the arm on that Friday when we go for sentencing, and I said, "Judge, can I speak with you, please?" You do a sidebar, "Yes, Steve." I said, "I need your help. I need them to go to jail because I don't want them to die." Friday they go in, not real happy to see Willis at that point. Tuesday I go back and visit them. You know what? Their eyes are bright. Their complexion is better. It's astounding. And I said, so how was that? Well, it sucked. What do you mean, how was that? I said, that's really good. Good? Really good. Because I want you to remember it. I want you to do well. See? If you don't like the pain, then please, just say, Steve, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Right? And remember the pain when you go out so you don't repeat it. If we don't give our kids, our clients, enough experiences, they're going to die. Right? That's what I try to do with the legal system. And that's why Hope Church Life exists. To help families understand how to love in the right way. To lift them up. To help them create circumstances that will give that loved one an opportunity to say, I don't want to do this anymore. When that surrender happens, miracles happen. Recovery is so real, and it's such a joy to see you have clients. You work with them, right? Isn't it cool? When that person whose self-esteem is way down in the toilet because they get really good at being bad and not so good at being good, right? And then they can get a job, and then they can all of a sudden buy something, and then they can go a week without using. They're proud of themselves. This is why God's plan is good. We can't fix it. We're not supposed to. They're supposed to. So they can own it, and they can take credit for it, and they can know that that joy, that action leading to joy can be sustained. Okay? That's what recovery is. And we can all help them do that if we know it. If we learn enough and care enough and work together. Okay? That's what I got for you. What kind of questions do you have? Narcan. Anybody concerned about Narcan? Yeah? Right. Yeah. And when I go and talk to the EMS workers, they're not.
We have a question. I said in the hospital we've had patients that come in on a Tuesday that have been, aroused with Narcan, and then they come back on Thursday. And when we go to them try talking about rehab, they're like, oh well.
Well, yeah. The EMS workers are mad. The police officers are mad. Because they keep hitting people 4 and 5 times, right? And those people say, I don't want treatment. Well, why don't they want treatment? Because they're really, really sick. They just ingested something, which I think is a constitutionally insane act anyway, injecting heroin and things like that, right? But we don't have a law to actually mandate that they actually be, ordered to get treatment. We used to have, before the Overdose Prevention Act, under our drug laws, I, with my naughty self, would be able to call the police, for example, or at least talk to the police and say, look, I'd like my client charged. You want your client charged too? Yeah, because I need them to have something to lose, right? That kind of theory makes sense? So what happened was, under the old laws, if they were under the influence, or if they're using, with somebody, and they die dead, the police would go in and charge them. And then bail would be sent to the old system. And then we could get them out of jail with the idea that if you want to get out, you have to do something productive, like go to treatment, right? The Overdose Prevention Act came around. The idea of it is wonderful because if you and I are using, and I die dead, it would be nice if you call the police, right? The Overdose Prevention Act says now that you can't be charged. My problem is that I can't be charged either. I don't care if you're charged, by the way, right? I care about this person. This is why when they're hit with Narcan, the police are just looking. You want to go to treatment? No. I want to get, I want to ingest the same drug again because my body feels like crap, right? And when they wake up with that, that's an amazing thing, Narcan, right? It's an antagonist, so it goes in the very receptors that the opiate is in, and it's stronger for a little bit of time and kicks out those opiates, right? Doesn't do anything about the Xanax or anything else that's there, but the opiates, so it goes in there and all of a sudden somebody's dead and they come right back up. And many of them are ready to fight. Right? Yeah. So we've taken a tool away from our law enforcement as far as I'm concerned. I go to the prosecutor and say, you know what, we need to go back to the old way. Steve, he says, you know, that's not the law. I said, well, like it really should be. Okay? When you have leverage over an addict who does not know how to fix him or herself, when you have some leverage, you have a chance of helping them learn to get well. Okay? So, the EMS workers in there, I go and lecture to them. I went up to New York and so forth. I had about 140 of them up there. They're mad as hell. And they said, Steve, like, we've gotten to the point, some of them said, where we hear the name and we don't feel like going anymore. And I said, that's not good. I said, my prayer for you, and I'm begging you, go again. Because let me tell you this. The fifth time you go, that may be the time that that person says enough is enough. That may be the time that Mark Willis would have said, you know what, I really want to be well. Okay? So don't lose that opportunity. I just think, again, I'm hoping that through enough education and actually talking about what works and what doesn't work, that we as a community can come together and come up with things that absolutely do work, try to empower us all. Okay? Any questions? Anybody else?
Could you speak to, you mentioned there was rates lower, which going through treatment as opposed to just straight jail and treatment in the jail. And so we've known this for a while, and we know that it's less expensive and has a higher success rate. Why is there still resistance to creating programs that would send you either have the treatment center in the jail or maybe from jail into a mandatory treatment facility, where if you don't follow through, then you're back to jail. Why is that not happening?
Well, it's a great question. You heard the question, right? Why don't we have more treatment programs in jail if we know that it works? I think it's a question of money in part. Okay? I think
But
it's
if it costs less,
Right.
To have treatment, because they're not going back.
Right. Well, think about it though, like through drug court, there's just a limited number of residential programs that have contracts with the drug court. There's drug courts in all these different counties. There's a finite number of beds. So there's just so many beds that are available. So that leads logically into the idea, well, while they're waiting in jail, for example, why don't we have programs there? And I've spoken to Senator Vitale about that. I've not gotten the governor's ear, got the lieutenant governor's ear about that, because there should be more of a discussion. There needs to be money spent on that stuff. There are state prisons that have segments, that have whole areas where people can. They used to call it therapeutic community kind of thing, right? But they have programs that people go in, and if I have a drug problem and the state, prison system knows I do, you say, well, there's an opportunity right there. Some of my clients have taken advantage of that, by the way. Okay? There are some programs, not so much in the county jails, but in the state prison jails. Middlesex County, a long time ago, actually developed in their county jail one of the programs you're talking about. That gave addicts an opportunity to start getting their treatment while they're there. And then the judge who helped to implement that was the presiding criminal judge, and if they did the work there, he was a lot friendlier and nicer when it came time to sentence him, right? We want people to do the work. That's it. So, even when it comes to beds, we had a forum the other night, and the good question came up, where are all the beds? Don't we need more beds? And I said, yes, we need more beds. We need more detoxes. We need more co-occurring programs. We need more programs. I asked Senator Vitale this a couple years ago. I said, do you agree with that, Senator? He said, I do. I said, but you're probably going to tell me there's not enough money. He said to me, there's plenty of money. Everybody just wants it. I said, huh? So we need to kind of reprioritize, huh? He said, exactly. But that takes you, he said. That takes everybody to say, we have a serious, serious problem in our community, in our state. And we need to start allocating monies in a different way, don't we? Right. Families would say, I don't want an Oxford house, I don't want any rehab in my neighborhood, though. What changes that? I think education changes that. It's knuckleheads like me standing up and say, hey, I'm affected by this. Right? I lost my son to this. And by the way, my clients are breaking into your businesses. Right? We're all affected. So let's all realize that when people do get well, they can be the best employees in the land. Right? Yes.
What are your thoughts like on people who deal drugs? And like, is it a different strategy or?
Oh, thank you for that. The question is, what are my thoughts about people who deal drugs? The criminal justice system looks at dealers as somebody who should go to jail, and I've helped them to realize that patients should get treatment. Early on in the drug court, curriculum, there was an idea that dealers would never get in because they're not patients, right? But what happens is so many people are dealing, right, in order to get the drugs so they can keep using. Okay? And you heard Dr. Pamela this morning talk about 100 bags. Early on, that was absolutely distribution. And the prosecutors were saying, Steve, don't even talk to me. Right? They're hurting other people, they should go to jail. I have clients, you may have clients who are doing 75 bags a day. How nuts is that? That's a couple days right supply for them. Still hard for prosecutors to necessarily understand that. But a lot of the people that are in drug court, they're finally realizing that, are dealing too. When you get to the big levels, though, when you get to where there's all kinds, I had a woman that was, setting up a transport of about 2 kilos of heroin from New York. Now, she was a sick girl, there's no question about it. But the prosecutor looked at me and said, Steve, I know what you do, but the answer is no. She's going to state prison. And they do. And they do. But what happens there? Should they still get treatment? I think the answer is yes. Because retribution may make us feel better for a little bit, but when that person comes out of jail and they've gotten no treatment, what are they going to do? The same damn thing. Right? So, the laws will say possession or intent to distribute. Prosecutors, like for the plea offer that they give to me if I'm representing that person, it may very well include jail. Even if it's probation with like 364 days in the county jail, if I want to change that, I have an opportunity to go to my client and say, what are you prepared to do? If you want to stay out of jail, then you have to earn the right, and I'll help you. Start going to treatment. Go to a doctor if you need to get some medications, if that's the way your brain works. And let's put together a body of work that can be impressive to a judge. Because if they're in treatment, most of the judges, maybe all of them that I work with, won't take a person out of treatment, right? They can't just sit there with their thumbs stuck. They have to actually do the work. But we have that all documented too, and that's what I demand in the way I do this. Judge, order that the provider send regular status reports, order that we show up, every couple of weeks so that we can get real accountability, and that effort works. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I'm very lost, excuse me. Have you done anything in regard to education from elementary school all the way to high school on a continuous, constant basis rather than having maybe one class a year on drugs?
Thank you. We're working on that. I've gone into the high schools, and when you talk to seniors, juniors, kind of like talking to the table. But the idea, right, is the effort worth it? The effort is worth it, because if you touch one, just like if there's one person in this room that takes away something that's meaningful, that's a blessing. But
Well, what about elementary school and middle school?
and we've done that too. That's really where we need to go, frankly, because they feel invincible, the older ones. Not going to happen to me. That's what my son said. Okay? And they'll always feel that way because all their friends are using with them and nobody's dying yet. They say, right? So I got this. It's the little ones. When I went into Seaside Heights. We went into the elementary school there. We had a beautiful class of 5th and 6th graders. They were awesome. That was the scariest thing I've ever done. I'm used to talking to adults. But I looked at my beautiful wife, who's a nursery school teacher. I said, honey, how do I do that? And she said, I'll help you. So she put together photographs on this PowerPoint thing of our wonderful son growing up, newborn, and 2 years old, with roof ball with underwear on his head, things like that. The kids really they said, wow, look, we related. It was really cool. And then I talked about his death and they cried. We talked about what's happening in their home. And then at the end I said, anybody have any questions? And they were all kind of hesitant. I said, how about this? And this was my wife's idea too. I said, if you ask a question, I have baseball cards that belong to Mark. If you have questions, I'll give you a piece of my son. And all of a sudden, all the arms went up and everything, and I was smart enough to take the expensive ones out before I went to school. That's pretty good. I'm not dopey. See, but they are just, they're perfect. And they're effective. The principal came to me and said, Steve, that was great. You need to talk to our parents. He said he knows all of the kids, and in one way or another, siblings, parents, somebody in their family is affected, is afflicted. And what do we do about that? Right? I went to Barnett. There's 240 5th and 6th graders, the same beautiful kids. They know a lot. They know about the drugs. They're living through it. Our whole educational system really has to change the way you're saying, not just one health class a year. Built into the curriculum. I also think that we need more of you in the schools. There were 2 social workers for 1,000 kids. How do you do that? Early on, if we reprioritize ourselves and love these kids as we're supposed to, you guys would be in the schools so that you can actually look at these blessed little ones that are being hurt at home, that have nobody to talk to at home because everybody's sick. They could talk to you, right? And instead of being ignored in school, and reaching for drugs later on, they also could get help. Make sense? Yeah.
Most programs are based around the addict and the symptom, as opposed to prevention.
Right.
So elementary and middle school is
Right.
really so that we have less of them.
Prevention's important. It's funny, in Hope Shed's life, we have a lot of people that have come around, hence my tears. Very talented people. We have one guy who's been in recovery himself 40 years in the substance abuse field for 35 years. Smart guy. At one of our meetings, he was saying, and my colleagues were listening, he said, prevention doesn't work. But one of my board members, who's not an addict and who has perfect kids, I don't know how that happens, but these are genius perfect kids. Beautiful family. She got out of her chair and she looked at him and she said, how dare you? My kids need to hear that. And she's right. No one thing works. We need more treatment, but we need more prevention programs taught by people who the kids will listen to, right? I love talking, as you can tell. But what we're developing through Hope is a speaker bureau, one of my colleagues called it, right? I love reaching out for the young people, and that's what I tell them when I'm representing them criminally. Those people who have gotten it right, I can reach back to them, and that's what I tell them as we're getting to know each other and we're working through this system. I said, I want to do anything I can for you that's legal and moral and ethical and spiritual, and I will, you'll see. So that I can then reach out to you and say, hey, can you help me save somebody else? Because when you get it right, and you're more like the age of the people, right, that are being afflicted, how powerful do you become? They're powerless into an old short guy, right? That's what's neat. When we share, when we grow, when we know, and we share all that experience, it's a great thing. You had a question?
Yeah, just in terms of, you mentioned the drug court, and you have to do some really bad things to get in the drug court. But you said there was another side, voluntary way to get in. How do we, as professionals, help people? We know the drug court system works. How do we get people into it? What's the wiggle way in?
Well, really anybody, can apply to drug court that's facing a charge. The drug court program will say, though, that if you're facing something like a disorderly person offense, so crimes are graded by degrees. Some people still call crimes felonies here, kind of an old word. They're indictable offenses, first degree, second degree, think about a line, third degree, fourth degree, and then there's disorderly person offenses here. Disorderly person offenses are heard in municipal courts generally. No drug court there. Not much accountability there either. Okay? Third degree crimes are like possession things, possession of heroin, or even possession with intent. Okay? Second degree crimes can be robberies. I'm getting people that are committing robberies into drug court, depending on the facts. And that's actually, Governor Christie suggested that that may be appropriate. Why? Because drugs are not just possession charges. Drug-related charges, everything that I do in the criminal justice system, 80%, 90% are drug-related. Robberies, some arsons, for goodness sake. Burglaries, certainly, right? They don't have the drug name to it, but it's all based, it all rises from drugs. So with your clients, when you talk to them about whether they want to live or die, you talk to them about whether they want to change their lives, and they share with you that they have these legal charges. You can mention drug court, okay? You can take information. You can tell them that they can voluntarily apply. The only question here is that if they're not really facing state prison, really, that they may not get in. But I've also had people that I've talked to drug court because, I invite myself to their, staff meetings. It's a good thing they put up with me right here in Ocean County. Because I want to advocate for the clients. Even though my client may just have, say, 2 charges, so they may be looking more like probation with some county jail time instead of state prison. If they're ready to change, and we know that the structure of drug court works, I want to advocate for them to get in. Okay? It's just the lower level charges may not get in, which is such a shame, right? It's a shame because why should we have to wait until somebody does something really bad? I'm representing this young guy whose family found out about me. They come around, he's got 4 possession with intent charges. We're talking about treatment. The next day after the meeting, when they retained me, he's driving to work and he ran head on into a woman and killed her. Death by auto. Because he was high. That'll change your life. There was no drug court for that, by the way. Right? He absolutely could have benefited from drug court. We were going to go through it. But the charge was then too damn serious. Our system says he needs to go to state prison. That young man would have benefited amazing. Right? From drug court. So it's not a perfect system. But the point is that structures can be put in place whether drug court exists or not. Structures can be put in place by people who care enough. So please, let me help you. Okay? God bless and thank you for letting me share.